It can happen to anyone. In less than 30 seconds, a gang of between 5 and 7 men grabs you from your car at gunpoint and takes you for a ride, from which you may or may not return. On a Tuesday night, Massimo Caputo was driving his nephew and a friend home in this affluent Caracas neighborhood when, right here, the restaurateur was intercepted by one car in the front and immediately by another in the rear. He was blindfolded and put in one car, the boys in another.
You always feel the pistol on your head or any other part of the body. Always the threats and insults. After they got the money for me, they freed me, and I had to negotiate the release of my nephew for another 24 hours. Thank God we survived without any physical harm, but psychologically we've been damaged forever.
Juan Perez, not his real name, is now in charge of the family car parts business and is too frightened of reprisals to show his identity after his father's kidnapping in broad daylight.
I sought help from a kidnapping expert, of which there are many. We negotiated and dropped the money off on a highway as agreed. I spoke to my father, who said he was fine.
But not for long. His dead body was left in a dump.
It totally changes you and the direction of your life. It is totally traumatic. I live as though I were in a war zone. Now I drive an armoured car, always fast and always on the alert.
In Venezuela, where according to the Institute of Criminal Science, 95% of crimes go unpunished, kidnapping is the fastest growing business, along with the sale of armored cars, guaranteed to protect you from assault rifles and even grenades, both used by armed gangs. The University of Santa Maria study says kidnapping increased by 170% in the first 5 months of this year compared to last year. It is rampant and at random.
A kidnapping can take place anywhere, including right here. So one of the first things that experts tell you is not to carry a lot of photos in your smartphone that show who are your friends and family, or that give away how much money you have, or where you live. The key is to give the impression that you're not worth holding on to for a long negotiation, because the longer you're kidnapped, the greater the chances of being seriously injured, raped, or murdered.
In this building works one of Caracas's best-known special risks negotiators, another booming profession. Lawyer Fermín Mármol explains that because of hyperinflation, kidnappers are demanding ransoms be paid in hard currency only.
It's become so lucrative that the criminal gangs that before lived from small-time drug trafficking or stealing cars are now turning to kidnapping. But there are also well-organised criminal gangs that before robbed banks that are also doing it, because the impunity rate is so high.
It's a sordid business that doesn't always end with the ransom. Massimo Caputo, who was kidnapped a second time, confirms reports that security forces sometimes offer victims or their families the option of killing the kidnappers, for a price, of course.
I was offered that the first time, but honestly I declined, because you have them taken care of and then it snowballs back at you.
92% of families never go to the police for fear they may be in league with the criminals. The mayor of Chacao, an affluent municipality that's therefore a prime target, sees it as a terrifying epidemic.
We have to disband these gangs, and only the government can do it. They don't come from our municipality, and it takes more profound intelligence work.
And in the absence of effective protection, the streets of Caracas, as elsewhere in Venezuela, are mostly empty on this Friday night, as are the arepa sandwich restaurants, where customers used to overflow onto the road. The fear of being the next victim, impossible to shake. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Caracas.